Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I'm back with another review. And today we're taking a look at from the Transformers Earthrise line. This is Leader Class Doubledealer. I got this figure off of Amazon. For those of you who pre-ordered it, yes, the delivery date had been shifted to August, September, but it is shipping now. So if you haven't gotten yours, you probably will sooner than later. So make sure you're ready because it was a surprise to me. This is an update to the original Double Power Master Doubledealer. Never had that toy as a kid. And yeah, it's very interesting. It's a nice little update. A lot of little bits to add on. There is a lot of the gun here, the little light thing here, the missile pods on the side, and this whole rear section are all separate parts, which unfortunately, again, as Hasbro packages things, I thought Doubledealer was a lot bigger than it actually is, because the bottom of the packaging is all of that that back section. A few things to talk about in truck mode is I have heard that there are some reports that people are having a hard time getting the truck to roll. The one thing that I found that works the best, that really the instructions don't point out, is the Falcon wings. You want both sets of tips folded out and flush all the way. Doing it like that and not just leaving one folded up, or both, well, both folded up, nothing's going to happen. But even with one folded up, you really don't have enough clearance. But as you can see, it does roll quite nicely. Any other little tips we'll get into in the transformation. Now, there is one thing I want to say. A lot of people are calling this a quad former, and I have to disagree with that. The reason they call it a quad former is that if you turn the vehicle around this way, bring those black sections down, bring this section down, which will be the tail feather in Falcon mode, but is also the connector piece for it to connect the bases, bridge masters, etc., and then bring up the missile. This is basically what they consider a fourth mode. Realistically, because this is an intercontinental ballistic missile launching truck, this isn't a mode. This is what the truck has to do to launch the missile. And yes, I know it's a little out of frame, but just seeing the missile's not a part of this. This is not an alternate mode. This isn't like going from the truck to the Falcon. This isn't, or the robot. This isn't like a fly mode. This is just like a launching. This is how the missile launches. So no, I do not think this is a quad former. You could basically live your life and never use this mode to launch the missile, because really the missile doesn't launch, and you would still be all the better for it. So that's about it for truck mode. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to transform from truck mode to robot mode and then end in Falcon mode. There's no easy way to go from like truck mode to Falcon mode. This isn't like your traditional triple changer. It is like a very each one is like very involved, but we'll get into that when we start the transformation, which we will right now. Okay, I actually got this figure delivered on a Sunday, and the recording of this is on a Thursday. That's because I really wanted to make sure I had enough days to spend with it to get the transformation down. The first step you're going to do is come in, and you're going to remove all these little extra bits. So that includes the arm unpegged, these little side missile launchers, which I think these can fit blast effects. Like, I'm not really sure what's front on those. Remove this little light fixture and the gun here. Now, unless there's something horribly wrong with my figure, I do like how you're pegging them into the fist holes, and it's molded in such a way that these will angle up. That's a nice touch. Come along the back here and remove this back section. We'll get into that a little bit more. I know a lot of people have complained about it. Come in, raise up the missile, and then go ahead and detach it. Pegs in with those two ports right there. Although laying it flat does help support it a little bit better. I would have wished that there was a longer peg there, but I understand why they did that, because if you can separate this, this becomes the robot's handgun, like a solar power blaster, and this becomes the shoulder missile. So we'll get a little more into that when we get into robot mode. Now, the transformation. Basically, from this point back, no problem, because that's the torso and the arms. From this point forward, I have to say it's needlessly complex, because the way the legs don't just fold up, they actually collapse on a series of very tight double joints that really require a lot of play and fiddling to get into place. But I will show you and point things out along the way. The instructions really don't show collapsing them the best way. But anyway, so to start, let's bring that section down. You're gonna, for right now, let's bring that green tab flat. Next, what you want to do is swing these shoulder sections around, and that will this will friction into place. Untab the arms and bring them around. Rotate it so the fists are pointing down. Do that again on this side, and then you can come in and flip the fists around. Now, do want to point out something right there. That's a little 5mm covering, 5mm port covering. That is made to look like Knock, one of the original Power Masters that would sit there in the chest. Speaking of the chest, unpeg this, rotate it around. This is the chest. If you got the Generation Selects Spy Patrol set with Knock and Scar, you can fit either one of these into the little chest here. I went back and forth debating if I was going to do that, and remembering how much trouble people had getting the cassettes in and out of Soundwave and Sound Blaster, I decided to let it be. But it is there. So fold that up, and there you have the chest done. I'm going to adjust the camera ever so slightly because things are about to get a little crazy. First thing I would recommend is getting those arms straight out of the way. Come along the back here and fold up the tips of the Falcon wings just so you can have a clear grip. So now we're going to separate the front of the vehicle. Now, the vehicle pegs in up front here into the front section, and then there are tabs on the inside of what will be the feet that peg in to the calf of the robot mode right below the hip. When collapsing the legs for vehicle mode, you want to make sure that tab goes up far enough to get into the hip. Well, jumping ahead for Falcon mode, it actually goes up a little further so that it will peg into the waist. Now, two problems I have with this is the clearance issue is very, very tight. You do end up bumping into the side of the arms, the armpit area here, but also there's a little bit of greebling and detailing on the blue calf section that you kind of end up having to like massage the darker green parts past. Now we're going to extend the legs out like so. They do fold, I mean, they do fold up, but it also collapses. So you're going to rotate them out and collapse them out. Fold that section up, and then there's a little swivel on the hinge, and there you have the feet. And there you have Doubledealer in robot mode. There's his head. Very nice. Very indicative of the original toy. In Falcon mode, there are some cues to the original Japanese toy, Double Clouder. And there's a whole history to this figure. In America, he was predominantly a Decepticon, and the Autobot bit was just a cover. But in Japan, he started out as a Decepticon and then reformed and joined the Autobots, but still kept up a Decepticon disguise. It's sort of like a punch-counter-punch thing, only, wasn't really a spy. It it was a little, it was big, but basically in Japan, Double Clouder was predominantly a good guy, and in the U.S., at least going from the toy fiction, because this guy did not appear in any of the U.S. cartoons, he was a bad guy. Maybe he reformed, I don't know. But anyway, to start pegging things on, first of all, let's deal with the wing section. So we're going to turn the figure around. In packaging, I actually got it that the tail fins were folded up all the way. The instructions kind of lead it to believe that the tail fins are supposed to hang down a little. I think just for the ease of convenience, I'm just going to leave it like that. But if you do wish, you can fold up both sections like so, and that does sit a little, that will sit flush. Might as well leave it like now. But okay, so we're coming up to this section. Now we got this straightened out. Let's bring in this back section. Basically, we're going to leave it like this. It's going to, there are two tabs here that will peg into slots underneath. And then I think this is the way you have it. Yes, with the pads facing down. So make sure everything's even Steven. You know, very somewhat loose ball joints, but they really don't have to support much weight, so it's not that bad. Come around the front. I like to put this little doohickey in the shoulder there. Take the front missile section. That goes up there. Plenty of ports on this guy. Let me tell you, if you like armoring figures up, you're going to have some fun. The missiles go down on the leg. They do say in his bio that he has enough firepower to level a mountain, so that's the original, I think, Japanese toy bio, but there you go. And then the laser gun goes in the hand. So now I will admit that the first elbow joint is a little loose, so you do need to use that second one to help it support the blaster, but there are double elbow joints there. We already saw a little bit of the shoulder work. Ratchets here in the hips. You do have a knee section out to the side, and of course there is ankle pivot due to the transformation. Nice looking figure. I dig it. I think Doubledealer is going to be featured in the Netflix cartoon, so that's something pretty cool. So yeah, that's about it, going from a vehicle to robot mode. So now we'll pause, and we'll go from robot mode to Falcon. Okay, I've gone ahead and stripped the robot of all its little accoutrements, and now we're going to go into Falcon mode. The first step you want to do is come into the shoulder here and flip down these little panels that reveal the Decepticon logo. I think that's a cool little touch there on the figure. Next, what you want to do, flip the hands back up, just like that. Now, what you're going to do is you're actually going to come in and grab this wheel section and pull it forward, just like so. You don't want to grab from the shoulders. The shoulders is for truck mode. This is to go into Falcon mode, so you want to have that whole section open. Next, what you're going to do is grab the wheel section, bring it down until it naturally stops, and flip out the feet. Finally, you're going to turn. Actually, the arms are already turned. You're going to, using the double joints, manipulate the arms into such a position where there's a slot on the side of the forearm that will peg into a tab on that wheel section. And you're going to do this on both sides. Be sure to make sure you're only manipulating the double joints of the arm and not the elbow and not the shoulder joint, just to make sure it looks a little even. Something like that. And we can adjust the feet as we see fit. Next, what you want to do is flip out these panel sections and then rotate the legs Actually, nope, sorry, rotate the legs outward, just like that. And basically now what we're going to do, first the instructions would say, you know, flip up the tail fins, but they're already done. Basically what we're going to do is flip the legs around and collapse them so that the basically there's a tab on the inside of the flat of the foot, as I mentioned in truck mode, that will now peg into the side of the torso. Now the instructions also show that on the black section here, there's a little bit of a divot. There's a tab that will go into a divot into the blue section. Don't worry so much about that. Just worry about getting the legs up so that it pegs in. I mean, that will happen naturally. That it will just friction in, and then you'll be able to peg the hip in properly. And this is what I was talking about not having a very finicky clearances and what have you. But when you're done, it should look something like that, and you'll have that green section up along the hips. And let me tell you, both in in truck mode and in Falcon mode, this comes up very solidly, very tightly. So it's a lot of work, but I do like the results. Go ahead, open up the wing section now. See, I do believe with the instructions you are supposed to have these folded down at all times. Fold the tips up and bring the wings out, just like so. And now we're going to bring that forward so you can get the thumb in there. Oh, no, you know what? We're not actually up to that part yet. Sorry. Flip this over. Flip that little section on the front of the vehicle up, which would be the front of the vehicle up. Bring this whole section down and forward. And what's kind of cool is there's a double hinge on that front section and a little notch. So it'll catch one of those tabs and hold that in place. Finally, I think just for sanity's sake, bring the arms all the way forward so that you basically have that leg section going. Now, open this panel, flip it down so that the, oh, you know, I do not bring the, and I do that all the time. Don't bring the arms down to the last because you need the clearance for the head to rotate. And as it rotates, it's going to fold everything up, and that green back tab will friction into place there. Rotate the bird head up, and just for your information, there's only, going back into robot mode, there's only one way for this bird head to rotate. But before you rotate that, close it up. There's a little tab there. Bring the head up, extend it. You can open the mouth now, and finally bring those arms down all the way. And there you basically have the Falcon done. All that's left is to armor it up. So again, the fist holes will serve as connection points for the little side weapons. Right here under the wings is where you want to peg in the little missile pods. And now finally we come to the tail section and all that. So you want to flatten that out, bring that down. The missile will peg, the larger peg will go into the tail. The smaller peg will just sit in that little groove. Now if you notice, there's these little spring notches. Not here, but right up there is a little tab section that this will clip onto. And it's really strange that they did it like this, but that'll clip on. and then bring those little sections down. And now having the missile on the back like this is actually how the Japanese cartoon did it. I'm pretty sure I have those black sections correct, but that's about it. You actually have bird section El Finito. Actually, it's like a falcon or something, but yeah, it's not bad. I mean, some people call it a vulture. The original toy, I mean, called it a falcon. A lot of people are saying that it looks bad, but that's actually indicative of the original toy. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's interesting. I mean, it's a, like I said, it's a beast to transform into, but I kind of dig it. You do have a little bit of articulation in play there on the head, so that's always kind of nice. And you don't really have much play with the feet, but since it's so heavy, I'd rather just have it static like that. But yeah, I mean, I'll be very honest. I'm probably just going to transform Doubledealer between the missile truck and robot mode, because robot mode looks kind of cool. So we'll pause, and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, right off the bat, I feel the need to say that Doubledealer is not a figure you should give to a small child. The leg transformation for both modes is finicky enough that they would really have a problem with it and would take away their enjoyment of the figure. For adults, you just might really find it to be a pain in the tuchus, and may not enjoy it. But once you do it a couple times, it's actually not that bad. And once you understand what has to happen and don't really follow, or you ignore the instructions, it becomes a little bit easier. Once you understand that you're really not flipping up the robot mode legs, but you're flipping and collapsing, it makes it a little bit clearer. With that said, I am kind of glad I didn't pay the $100 it was going for on eBay when people were getting it early. In fact, I didn't even pay the full $46 price. Amazon has it, I think still has it right now, discounted to around $42. I think it was actually even $49. They had it down to $42, but I had gift cards, so I ended up paying like $25 for this. And for $25, this is a great figure. It's nice that we're getting some of these later G1 figures that were like niche characters that people really don't remember from because they weren't part of the American cartoon. They showed up in the comics, but when it comes to Transformers, I've always felt that the cartoon is what captured the imagination of most fans and collectors. So, but in Japan, this guy, the Double Clouder, had a real history. And who knows, we might actually get a Generation Selects release in the Double Clouder colors with Croc and Scar done as Autobot Clouder and Decepticon Clouder, because there were different, I'm pretty sure there were different colors there. So, yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. If you are in a position to, please support my Patreon. You'll see a link in the description and a little card here. All I ask is $1 a month. No tiers, no special benefits. You're just helping me continue to do what we all enjoy. Or, well, I hope we all enjoy. I mean, I enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it. But yeah. So it's your old pal Chuck for Doubledealer. We will see you next time.